Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is it. This is the big one. Manchester United versus Everton in the Premier League. Ruben Amorim's first home Premier League game as Manchester United manager. Yep. Joining me is Angelina Kelly. Ange, how are we doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Are you excited for Amorim ball?
I'm allowing myself to get excited. At first, I was a little bit, there was a bit of trepidation, but
Trepidation,
you know what?
Right, listen, you're not in London anymore with your fancy Cockney words.
I was dead happy.
Hello.
I was dead happy, and I was, just the one. I was dead nervous, but now I'm dead happy. There you go.
I'm getting in trouble now. Look at him dumbing down to her. No, it's me that's the dumb one. That's the point. We saw, right, me and Adam McCullough had different seats. Like, we sat next to each other for the game against Bodo Glimt.
Yeah.
But we were nearer the pitch than where we usually sit. And I just became sort of transfixed with Ruben Amorim. I was just watching him because I was so near him, And he was very animated. You can see he's trying to sort of stamp his identity, his sort of imprint onto this team. Can you see it a little bit? Sort of, I know it's only been 2 games. You see what he's trying to do, the little change he's making, and the fact he is so animated, and he's almost like a chess player at times. He's like borderline moving the players physically. He's that sort of animated. You see what he's trying to do. 100%.
It's almost like if he was allowed to physically go onto the pitch and pick them up and move them, I think that he would.
100%.
The way that he, especially last night, he was barking instructions at them. And we saw it with the Ipswich game with Casemiro when he was, he was so far up the pitch and he was like looking like, am I supposed to be here? Saw it a few times with Højlund and a couple of other players of them kind of looking over like for reassurance. There was talk of them practicing corners in the warm-up and stuff. You can tell that, and I don't mean this in a bad way, it's a rush job, but he clearly understands that there's a lot to do here.
Yeah.
And he is like, every minute counts. Yeah. So we need to get as much done as possible. But I think you definitely see an identity. I mean, I like the fact that he's stuck with the formation. I know you guys have spoken about it, a lot of pundits saying, oh, the formation might not even be there in a year's time or something. Listen, this guy's going to die on this formation.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I like that he's stuck with it. I like that he isn't afraid to bark out instructions and tell these players, because a lot of them are clearly devoid of a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
And I think that, they are clearly finding some kind of comfort in being able to look at him and him letting them know. So I think it's a good thing, but I think definitely you can see what he's trying to do, and you can see from the positions that some of these players have been put in, which are not the normal positions. Quite a few of them have had some positive moments in those positions. So it's definitely, the train's starting to move.
Yeah, no, I like it. Yeah, you're right. Definitely. I think he would move the players if he could physically, if they let him. But I like the fact the players are receptive to it. I see the players, I don't see any sort of arguing or ignoring him.
Yeah.
They seem to be almost like eager to get those instructions and get it right, which is good to see. And I think that is the advantage of having a sort of a good mix as well, because you've got the experienced players who sort of get what he's trying to do. Then you've got the youngsters who are probably a little bit more enthusiastic about this change, and the manager's come in, we've got to listen to him, kind of thing. It does seem to be sort of working in the sense that everyone's on the same page. Obviously, very, very early days. One thing we know about this formation, as you've touched on there, is this 3-4-2-1 has the 2 10s. It has those 2 players in that sort of number 10 role, which is very different from what we've seen at Old Trafford over the sort of the years, if you will. It's fascinating to see who could actually play in that role, who he's gonna go with, because so far we've seen Mason Mount tried there. We've seen I think we've had Casemiro was in that role. He sort of ended up in that role against Ipswich. He might not have started there, but where he was playing up the pitch, he was sort of very much in that sort of number 10 role. Diallo started off in the wing, was cutting inside a little bit. Wasn't as a 10, but a lot of people saying he should be that 10. Where does Marcus Rashford fit in? How do you think this is going to work with those 2 10s? Do you think that could be an issue? Or do you think we've actually got the players that can play there?
I think that we do have options in that area. That's not the top of my priority list of where we need to invest, in my opinion. I think you look at a player like Bruno, I think he's capable. I think you look at Mason Mount. Mason Mount impressed me quite a bit last night. And I almost forget about Mount sometimes. I forget we even signed him because he's been so injured.
I know what you mean there. I don't think that's harsh, because I've done it before when I've spoken about players. I did it last season. I was listing the players available, and I forgot to mention him. I wasn't trying to be horrible.
No.
I was like, we've still got Mason Mount, and
It's just been unfortunate.
He has, and he got a good reception last night. When he went off, I don't know if he did it deliberately, but he went off like the Stretford end and walked around. And he did get like, I was cheering him and shouting his name. I do like wanting to know that the fans are behind him, because it's not his fault he's been injured. Yeah,
exactly. And I think, this is a player who was, very integral for Chelsea for a period of time. And I think that we can definitely get him back to a point where he could be very important for United. I liked him in that position. I think that it's definitely doable. So those are your top two players. I think Ahmad in that role would be interesting. Garnacho, seen a little bit of criticism of him and his finishing.
I like Alejandro Garnacho, and I've stuck up for him. It sounds crazy that I have to stick up for a youngster who's already done quite a lot in a United shirt, but I do feel he gets a lot of stick at times. Yes. And I understand that. I'm not sort of, it's not like one of those where you go, I can't get my head around it. He can be frustrating with his decision making, but there's still a player there, and someone like Amorim could maybe get the best out of it.
I agree, and he's had a lot of stick. And when you look at the stats, his numbers are matching up with the likes of, he's doing better than Phil Foden, but, the likes of Kylian Mbappe. Across Europe, when you look at players that play in similar roles to him, he's matching people's numbers. And these are players that are actually a lot older than him as well. So if he's able to keep up with some of Europe's elite, then there is a player there. It is frustrating with the decision making, his final ball at times. It is frustrating, but I've not been angry at him being in that role that he's been playing in. And I do think that Amorim can get even more out of him. And I think people need to just remember, what he's done so far this season, what he did last season. I mean, against Everton.
Exactly. Yeah, great point. With all that being said, then, give us your predicted 11. This is the team you think Ruben Amorim will pick for the game against Everton.
Yeah, so Andre Onana in goal. I mean, I've been talking about him recently. He is 100% one of the top 5 goalkeepers in the Premier League. I think that he could actually this season, if he continues the way that he is, I know that certain goalkeepers have been injured, but he could be one of the top 3 Premier League goalkeepers in my opinion. I think Ederson's looked off it. Obviously, Alisson's been injured. Raya is good. Chelsea's goalkeeper, I'm not even wasting my time. Same with the Spurs keeper. I think that there's a player there.
I think you're right.
And I'm so happy that he is playing well. Mazraoui, I mean, I know you're putting a statue up of him. He's been the signing of the season.
Got to give the people what they want.
Exactly. Signing of the season. I'm just so impressed with him. When we signed him, I was a little bit, maybe because I didn't know much about him, to be completely honest, but I was a bit like, is this going to work? Have we just kind of brought De Ligt's mate with him or something else? But so impressed. I think that back 3, depending, when Lenny Yoro is fully fit, that's my solid back 3 in my opinion. Ahmad, just because Anthony, it was
okay for a bit.
Yeah.
We did on my news on Friday morning, a lot of people were chatting about it, and it divided opinion. Some people saying he did okay, others saying he wasn't good enough. Me and producer Ben on the channel were chatting about it, and I think part of the issue with Anthony is the bar's quite low.
Yeah.
So it's just a case of the ones that are saying he did well, it's just he didn't moan about playing in that different position, and he was okay. Others saying actually maybe give the kid a chance. I've said it with everyone. I say it with Anthony. I'm not his biggest fan, but I want him to do well. I want them all to do well. There's not a United player where I don't want them to succeed at United. Will it happen for him? I don't think it will, but you never know.
Yeah, and even if Amorim can just get something out of him so that we can move him on, to be completely honest. But Ahmad, just because I thought, and I agree, I think that you could see him in that 10 role. I'm not saying, I'm not in Amorim's brain, I don't know, but I think Ahmad, I think he did a really good job out there. I was really impressed with him in that wing-back position. Ugarte and Mainoo, I would probably like to see. I've gone with Bruno just because I think his stats last night were quite good. Yeah. I think that he's managed to adapt into that role, so I wouldn't be angry at seeing him again. I think also we need a player like Bruno because as much as, we've seen him playing the shorter balls with Amorim, some of those long balls that he can produce are absolutely fantastic, and you'll need that against Everton. Dallo, again, just because Malacia, again, I don't think he was horrendous. There were some mistakes, definitely, but I think it's down to a fitness situation. Who's going to actually end up in that position? It will be very interesting. Mason Mount, just because I thought he played well. Do I think he'd play the full 90 minutes? Probably not. Maybe it's a case of Mainoo ends up coming in, Bruno then drops into that position, not too sure. Rashford, it's a tough one with Rashford. He came on in the game. I think that maybe just giving him some minutes against a team like Everton, who should be there for the taking, can this build a little bit of confidence? Don't know how many times I've said Marcus Rashford needs confidence building, though.
You're not alone.
So it's a tough one. And Rasmus Højlund, because he was brilliant, and I think this is this kind of game where you need against Everton maybe some long balls coming in. I think that's a really good test for Højlund. I think it's something that he'll be able to do quite well. And again, you know, he scored 2 goals. So
yeah.
he
That's what you want from your striker. And also, I like the fact when a player scores, give him the momentum, keep him going.
Yep.
Don't let him score and then drop. It used to annoy me a little bit with Ten Hag at times when a player would be playing well and then he'd drop him or sub him during a good game for him. Let them play. If they're scoring goals and they look like they're on a good bit of form and they've got the confidence that you mentioned earlier, then get them playing. A couple of things. First of all, before I get to my 11, get your phones out, film yourself in landscape, for 30 seconds, give us your score predictions and send it to paddockmatchday@gmail.com. Let us know what you think the score's going to be and we'll use that as part of our pre-match build-up. Also as well, you can see I'm flexing a very nice jumper here, Christmas hoodie. Yeah, that's available. That's at Paddock merch. There's a link in the description. Go and check that out. And if you order it now, you should get it in time for Crimbo. Right, my team. We're recording this on Friday, so we're not 100% sure on who's available in terms of whether Maguire or Lenny Yoro could be available. I've gone Onana. Agree with what you said. I think he's mint. I've gone with Maguire as the right centre-back. If he's available. If Yoro was available, I'd have put him there. I'm not sure. I think there might be one of the two. Anyway, I've got De Ligt in the middle, Martinez on the left. I've put Mazraoui on the right wing-back role. I understand your point.
But I think he could do well in that role.
I think that's made for him. And also, I noticed Amorim was on Ahmad's case a lot during the Bodo Glimt game about getting back and all that. I don't know if that's going to affect his thinking. It might be irrelevant. You got him, Mainoo needs minutes. He needs to get on that pitch. I get your point about there's only so many spaces.
It just depends how fit he is, doesn't it? If he is fit, then I would probably agree to start.
Because he was warming up. I was chatting to Ian Irving from Premier League Productions and he was saying on the Ipswich game, Mainoo was warming up a lot. And he thought he was going to get on, and yet he didn't. So I don't know how far he is. We'll have to wait and see. The main thing with Kobbie Mainoo is we handle him properly. Don't rush him back. If you rush him back and he hurts himself, then I'm sorry, I love you, but you won't sack him.
Yeah.
I've gone with Luke Shaw on the left. Don't know how fit he is. Eventually, I think that's a role he could play. Maybe this is the time to see.
We just need fit Luke Shaw, and we need Luke Shaw to stay fit, because I've been quite harsh on him in that maybe he is a player that United should cut the cord with. Just
I don't think
because
that's harsh. I think that's fair. He's played. He's missed 50% of the last 4 seasons, mate. So you're right.
But I hope he is fit, and I hope we can get a game out of him, because again, I think the Everton game could suit him very well.
100%. I've got Bruno and Ahmad in the 10s.
Yeah.
Bruno, I thought played very well against Bodo Glimt. He's not going anywhere. He's obviously going to be a starter. I've gone with Ahmad. In that role, he might be a wing back. He could play there. I love Ahmad. I actually would prefer to see him closer to the action.
Yeah.
And Rasmus Højlund, we've already mentioned. Everton, a bit of a funny one, aren't they? The 15th, which isn't that far off, also to be fair. So we can't be too harsh on them. I think they've got 2 wins this season, 5 draws, 5 defeats. Not going great for them. But I think, I speak to a few Evertonians, I think they were always expecting this to be a bit of a tough season. I always feel sorry for Everton. They're always going through some things, aren't they?
You know what? Like, I can't remember the last time that it was just smooth sailing for Everton. Like, if it's not issues with players, it's issues with managers or owners or stadiums or something. I do feel for them. I think that since Branthwaite's come back, they've definitely looked better. I think in the games that he started, they've managed to keep clean sheets. I mean, you look at the Brentford game, Brentford had scored as many goals as Man City.
Yeah.
And so to keep them out, I think they did a good job. They have the potential to be very annoying, Everton.
Yeah.
Like, they're just a very annoying team to play against.
Scousers for you, isn't it?
Yeah. There's a lot of pressure on... There's a lot of pressure on Sean Dyche. There's a lot of pressure on Everton. But this is the kind of game that you have got to be as focused as possible, because in previous times, this is a game that you'd look at and think, oh my God, we could really slip up here and this could be a bit shambolic. But I'm hoping that's not going to be the case. You would like to think that the talent that Man United have and the amount of chances that Dominic Calvert-Lewin misses, that it should work in our favour.
With all that being said then, I agree with everything you've said there, to be fair. Give us your score prediction.
In Onana, I trust, so I'm going to go clean sheet because, it's Onana. And you know what? I'm going to go for a 2-0 win.
Who's going to score?
Who's going to score? I think I'd like to see Bruno get a goal.
Yeah.
And Højlund carry it on.
Right, I like it. Do you know what? I'll go 3-0.
Yeah.
And Mazraoui's going to get a goal.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. That's my big prediction. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let us know your prediction. Don't forget as well to send us your score predictions to paddockmatchday@gmail.com and check out Paddock merch. Go and check out Angelina Kelly on TalkSport. We do like some people from TalkSport, you know. Not against them all. Sorry, I'm allowed to say that. Go and check her out. And also, if you're at Old Trafford, you're going to be at the game, aren't you?
Yes,
interviewing
I am.
people.
Yeah, going to be at the game, pre-match and post-match. I'll have a big green coat on. Come and find me if you want to chat live on the radio. Yeah.
There you go then. Yeah, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. That's been Ange. I've been Jay. This has been a preview of the Everton game. Thanks for watching.